So they really are lumped in with LMPD for the purposes of everything we're looking at the police department. You know, because we're also looking at how people are treated, people who have disabilities are treated. There are going to be other parts of the city government that that provide services to people with disabilities that may be implicated by what we're looking at. And there may be things that the city could be doing but isn't doing to better serve people with disabilities.
And that's a good segue to a series I read here. For in-person meetings, will there be any attempt to make accommodations with community groups?
Yes, absolutely. We can make reasonable accommodations for meetings with anyone. We have a good process for doing that. We work in the Civil Rights Division and take the responsibilities of the Americans with Disabilities Act very seriously. And we can absolutely work with groups and individuals to make sure that they are reasonably accommodated in meeting with us.
Can you explain how to go about connecting with the various community-based organizations that are interested in assisting in this investigation? A lot of people are asking, how do we work with you?
I'm happy to take this one if you want, Paul. So we are willing to meet people where they are. As Jess mentioned, we have the U.S. Attorney's Office locally here. When things open up, our DC team intends to travel. But now we're willing to meet with people via Zoom, via phone, via Skype, WebEx. Our goal is to hear broadly. We can meet one-on-one. We can meet groups with groups of people, and we can meet with you multiple times. There's no cap on the amount of times that we're willing to meet. So we can meet you where you are. Please use our toll-free number and our community inbox to reach out and connect, and we will get back to you as soon as possible to set these meetings up.
Charles, will the community be given regular updates about the status of this investigation?
Well, we won't be able to give specific details about the status of the investigation. We're just not able to do that. But you will hear from us, perhaps more than you want to hear from us, because we will be in the community, pretty regularly. So you'll get updates. I know that the advertisement for this meeting was on the USAO's Twitter feed and other social media. So you will hear about what we're doing, meetings that we conduct. There will be a number of meetings. So that's going to be our way to kind of keep connected to the community, but we won't be able to provide specific details about status.
Paul, there's been a call in a number of cities around the country, including Louisville, to defund police departments. Is this investigation going to prevent Louisville in any way from making significant changes in policing in Louisville?
No. Cities, states, municipalities, counties have a huge array of options when it comes to how they want to protect public safety. There's a lot of ways that they can accomplish those goals. Our role is to determine whether law enforcement agencies are engaged in violations of people's rights as they do those things. But that doesn't mean that when we had launched an investigation like this, that whoever we're investigating can't continue to make changes. And in fact, we don't want our investigation to cause any pause in efforts that are being undertaken now to reform, to improve. And so, if the city, if the metro government, if LMPD is looking at ways to make, changes to how it delivers policing services, or in some cases, whether it's delivering policing services or moves to some other kind of way of getting services to people, those things should move forward. We're really just looking to see what's happening when it's law enforcement officers engaging with people or people's rights being protected.
Will ADA claims that are being investigated, does that include behavioral health issues, substance abuse? Charles, do you want to discuss that?
I guess the short answer to that is yes. Any way that law enforcement or police services within that are under the control of the LMPD or Louisville Metro government have impacted ADA, especially as they relate to calls for service or the criminal justice system. We'll be looking at all those things in some kind of way.
Maybe, oh, please, Charles.
I was just going to, because I know this is, I've seen some of the comments coming through. We're getting a lot of comments coming through on the Q&A. So just wanted to say to everyone, like, if we don't get to directly address your question tonight, please know that we are going to look through all of this. We're going to look through all of this and try to direct an answer in some kind of way to, maybe in a subsequent meeting that we have. It's important that you take down our email address and telephone number, because we know that this meeting tonight, it's virtual, as Jess it indicated at the beginning, it has limitations. We know that ordinarily we'd be in a room and folks would be voicing their concerns, out loud to us. And we know that you're not able to do that tonight through this, but just want you to know that, we see these questions that are coming through. We're not going to be able to directly address all of them. We hope that we're hitting on as many of them as we can, but please reach out to us after this through other means.
And I know we initially said we would be ending at 7:45, but we have a few more minutes. We'll ask as many as we can to the last possible moment here. Maybe if we're contacted and someone wants to give us documents, can we take them?
Yes, the U.S. Attorney's Office is a great place to drop off documents. We can also take scans. We can we can come pick them up. So just reach out, ask us. We can meet you where you are, and we will get the documents from you to ensure that your experience and your information is seen and heard and considered by us.
Paul, I'll ask this one of you. What if people are worried about retaliation? It was mentioned earlier, but if someone's talking to DOJ and they're worried that doing that is going to cause a retaliatory action, what do you say to them?
Well, that's scary. That's awful. Retaliation is against the law. And the statutes that we're enforcing, a couple of them actually have provisions in them explicitly saying that that people cannot be prohibiting retaliation for those who come to DOJ and provide information about violations of their rights. So that's tremendously important to us. I can't tell you how important it is just to the Civil Rights Division for victims of civil rights abuses to know that they can come to us, that they will be heard, that their safety will be preserved when that happens. That's of utmost importance to us, because otherwise, how could we enforce the civil rights laws of this country? We need to be able to hear from victims of civil rights abuses, and that's tremendously important to us. And so I understand that these things can be very fearful for people. I hope that folks will be brave and come talk to us. And if there's particular circumstances, just we can hopefully talk those things through. And I, for anyone who's experiencing that, I'm just very sorry. We do want to know what's going on.
There's questions about Louisville's large immigrant community. or refugees from many countries, documented and undocumented immigrants. And there has, this question says there's been conflict with the police. Are we going to be looking into this, the Department of Justice? Who wants to answer that one?
I'll take that. Yeah, the short answer is yes. And although tonight's forum, we aren't providing this in a multi-language format other than through ASL, and we have the captioning. For subsequent meetings, we will be providing meetings where there's an interpreter or a translator. So we have some language access solutions that we will use in reaching out to communities that want to speak to us in other in non-English languages.
Maveen, could you speak at all to the civilian review boards and how that process is working, or what impact that may have on the investigation?
Yeah, like I mentioned at the top, our goal is to get a full view of LMPD and Louisville Metro. And that's going to include the related civilian oversight systems that exist, which I know have been kind of complicated in their history. And so our goal is to look into that, understand how they work. And if you have any information about that or want to relay experiences or opinions on that, we're happy to receive that information.
There's interest in the size of our team. Is the size of our team complete? Is this everyone? Paul, you want to take this one?
No, this is not everyone. We didn't want to flood the whole screen with the people that we have engaged, but we have a whole bunch of other folks who are here in the U.S. Attorney's Office where I am right now, who are back in my home office in D.C. It's a pretty sizable team, and it's getting bigger. We are still adding folks to the team. We are planning to engage with some experts, people who are experts on law enforcement, people who are experts on First Amendment issues and statistics, the whole gamut of on services for people with behavioral health disabilities. We really benefit tremendously in our investigations, from bringing on folks who really understand these issues at their core. We rely on those folks to help us sift through all the materials and all the stories that we're going to be hearing. And they're going to help us identify not only where the legal violations may be, but also where the bigger problems are, the systemic problems are, where are things going off the rails, if that's what's happening. So we're going to have a pretty sizable team working on this. And, in the future, especially as we get to the point that we can have in-person meetings safely, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to see that bigger team in person. You'll be able to meet those folks, and you'll see just sort of all the expertise that we're trying to bring to bear to investigate here what violations might be occurring.
Throw this out to the group. What about the union? Will this investigation look into the Fraternal Order of the Police Union?
I'm happy to take that. So we're not going to be investigating the union specifically. Our authority doesn't extend to that, but we're going to be seeing how all of the systems are working. And I know the concerns of the community are whether the union is going to be a barrier to the reform that we seek. I can tell you we have legal tools available to us that can help us overcome any barrier. And we are going to make sure that the remedies that we find, if there are constitutional violations, actually can change and fix the problems that we find. So the goal is to get solutions that will have teeth and that will make change.
What about homelessness? Is Louisville Metro's treatment, LMPD's treatment of individuals who are homeless in any way going to be investigated as part of this initiative?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be looking at everyone's treatment. by the police department. And so if there are issues in how LMPD is treating people who are experiencing homelessness, we absolutely are going to be looking at that. We also recognize that that could cross over with some of the issues that I identified already. There may be uses of force involving people who are experiencing homelessness. There may be unnecessary detentions, stops, searches, arrests. And because of the kind of confluence of behavioral health disabilities and the people who are experiencing homelessness, there may be violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act that are particularly impacting people experiencing homelessness. So certainly that is incredibly important, and it is definitely something we will be looking at.
What about positive partnerships with the community organizations? Is DOJ interested maybe in identifying the positive relationships?
Yes. Again, we want to get a full picture of LMPD. We don't have any agenda. We're not trying to accept finding the truth. That's what we are aiming to do. We want to hear critical things people are critical about. We want to hear things that are working well, because ultimately we want to make sure that the policing services are done constitutionally and in a manner that serves the community's needs as best as possible. So we want to get a full view of things. If you have experiences, we sound like a broken record, but please reach out to us. We want to hear them. We're willing to meet you where you are, and we look forward to hearing these stories from you.
Thank you. I am now looking at the clock, and we're almost at the end here where we will get kicked off. So before that happens, I want to just quick summary. We are just at the beginning. And as you've seen, we have a large number of people here in this community who want to be heard, who deserve to be heard, and we want to listen. So if we were not able to answer your questions tonight, know that this is not your last opportunity. You will see us in this community. We are eager to listen, and I'm going to, when we wrap up here, I'm going to put our email address and our toll-free numbers back on the screen again here momentarily. But sincerely, know that we appreciate you joining this evening. Absolutely, and thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.